Well, it seems like the concerns around President Biden's age just will not go away. Recently, the focus has been on our 81-year-old president's heavy reliance on note cards during public appearances. But don't ask the White House about it. Apparently, it's a pretty touchy subject.
Why does the president rely so heavily on note cards?
You're upset because the president has note cards? You're asking me a question about the president having note cards?
I'm asking why
the
does he
president
rely
who
so
has
heavily?
had probably one of the most successful first 3 years of an administration than any modern day president.
I was just asking why he relies so heavily on note cards.
I think what's important here and what the American people care about is how this president is delivering for them.
The most successful 3 years. That's why his polling rivals that of Jimmy Carter. All right, well, now the White House reportedly trying a new strategy to ease concerns around Biden's age. New York Times describing the plan as let Joe be Joe, because that'll work. But letting Joe be Joe usually looks like this.
I better not start the questions. I'll get in trouble.
What's your message for Tuesday voters? Everyone, Super Tuesday, do you have a message for voters?
Thank you so much.
You know, Morgan, you've been in press and communications. I don't envy the problem of the White House press shop.
No.
How do you fix this?
Well, you can start by not being Baghdad Bob, which, I'm sorry, it's in that territory when you start saying it was the most successful 3 years ever, right? It just wasn't. And more importantly, even if you think that, the American people do not, right, as by polling. So you can't convince people to see something differently than what their eyes and their ears are showing them. So you can let them, every time you sort of let them be Joe, then there's a gaffe, there's some other thing that worries people. Because, listen, don't even listen to Republicans. Don't listen to what anyone has to say on this couch. What does Biden's old DOJ say about him? It says that he's basically a feeble old man with a poor memory. That's not Republicans saying that. That is Biden's old DOJ. The American people heard that and they processed that. And more importantly, Kayleigh, our enemies heard that and processed that as well.
Yeah, and you know, Joe has another problem. Ari, you and I were sitting together last night as those results were coming in on set, and we heard Jason Palmer won a Democratic primary. First time in 44 years a Democrat has lost. Meet Jason Palmer. This is Jason Palmer, by the way, if you don't know who he is. He won American Samoa. Look, there were only 9 delegates at stake. He only won, or I think it was 6 delegates. Not a huge deal, but, I mean, still something.
Yeah, I'm a huge Jason Palmer fan. I always have been. Look, as for the note cards, I have no problem with somebody having note cards. I do have a problem if they have the questions written on the note cards ahead of time, which this Biden administration seems to have quite often. Look, here's the problem with letting Joe be Joe and why they have to hide Joe. Air Force One, where President Biden no longer takes the big, beautiful, majestic steps up. He takes little baby steps. Well, you know what? When you take those steps, you go up to the bottom level of Air Force One, you take a right turn, you walk all the way back to the tail of Air Force One. Then you climb an interior staircase hidden from view that takes you to that same high level as the majestic steps to walk all the way from the back of Air Force One to the front. So to hide Joe Biden, they have him walking the length of a 747.
Twice.
And back again. This is the problem, because Joe can't be Joe. Because he's so old, they have to hide what he does. He's so frail. And they really do have an interest in showing him. I wish they would, because the American people deserve to see how conversant the president is.
Well, we'll see him tomorrow night, State of the Union, a huge deal. He must come out with a different persona and convince the nation, don't believe what you're seeing. He's also got to convince progressives. This was one of the untold stories about last night, Kennedy, was this uncommitted vote and this no preference vote. And you see it here. We know in Michigan, more than 100,000 voted uncommitted against Biden. And last night, the numbers were huge. Alabama, more than 11,000. Colorado, more than 40,000. Massachusetts, more than 50,000. I mean, look at North Carolina, more than 80,000. I bring this up, and it's interesting because I believe there was only an organized effort in 2 of these states. So this was organic protest against the president.
Uncommitted is becoming the dark horse in this race that I don't think anyone's seen coming. But to Morgan's point, these people who are voting uncommitted, they've lost faith in the president. And that's what the polling constantly shows us. It shows that people don't feel that the president has the mental acuity to, complete a second term. He may be able to start it, but he's having a rough go with his very first term. They also think, in addition to the age, the country is on the wrong track. 72% of Americans say the country is on the wrong track. That runs in contrary to what Karine Jean-Pierre is trying to sell the American people. They know something is wrong, when he's taken the baby steps. That also is a show of weakness, and I feel for the guy. Letting Joe be Joe is the exact opposite of what Dr. Jill Biden wants, if reporting is to be believed. You know, she wants him in these controlled, sterile environments where he's wearing more makeup and sitting down, where there are no variables, so he doesn't seize up and say something ridiculous like he does on a pretty regular basis.
And the challenge, Harris, is if you try to get on the right track on immigration, let's say you take executive action, you're just pushing the Gaza folks and the progressives further away. So, I mean, it's a real challenge.
Yeah, I want to dig into the 72%. Those are Fox Power rankings. And so that they are a huge conglomerate of different surveys that we've taken a look at here at the network. So when someone points and says, oh, that's only one, actually, no, they're power rankings. There's a whole lot of stuff that goes into making them the most that they could be in terms of how many people were gathered, and questioned, and all of that. 72% of people say the country's headed in the wrong direction. And if you dig deeper into the power rankings, it shows that we are dealing with a depressed electorate. They feel like they've been manipulated and lied to about the economy and inflation. They know what happened in the pullout of Afghanistan. They understand with all faculties, if you will, what really is going on at the border. They get it. It's all over the country now with fentanyl and sex trafficking, children on flights that are unannounced, landing in cities. That's been going on for a couple of years. So he has an enormous job. And you talk about that Arab American Muslim community, both in Michigan and Minnesota, that uncommitted group. Uncommitted also includes all those people in Michigan who don't want to be decimated by electric vehicles all across the country. What's happened there is a microcosm that will happen across the country if we're not careful. The automakers know what's coming. Americans don't want EVs. So that's part of that uncommitted. And you're right. It wasn't as organized as it was in Michigan and other places. It still picked up 2 delegates or so in Michigan. That was a telltale sign.
Yeah, so reverse the damage you've done with progressives, reverse the damage you've done with every group in the country and nearly every poll, and reverse your mental acuity. Tall order for tomorrow.
Yeah. Hey, everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.